Welcome back to the bit and to the fourth episode of Talk Bolt Action. Today is August the 15th. Here in Italy it's national holiday, so I hope all of you who are on vacation that you are having a really good time. In the meantime, we are here discussing some more news about the upcoming third edition of our beloved game. As usual, Warlord Games has released some new pieces of information that here today we are going to discuss. In this episode we finally caught up with the updated news, so here we go. Today's main subjects are troop quality and morale. The first great piece of news is that they didn't change anything regarding troop quality as it was in second edition. That is, inexperienced troops are still wounded on a 3+ and have a base morale value of 8. Regular troops are wounded on a 4+ and have 9 base morale, while veterans are wounded on a 5+ and have base 10 morale. This is good, since the mechanic worked pretty well in second edition, so they saw no point in changing it, and that's really a good thing by me. Now let's move on to the news themselves. The first thing that they announced that they changed is to one of the orders. As you know, in Bolt Action there are 6 different orders that you can give your units, as there are sides in the dice that we use. One of these is the rally order. The rally order represents the fact that the unit leader, its NCO or whoever is in charge, basically encourages his men to carry on, to endure despite the setbacks, the pinning, the shock, the trauma, and whatever has occurred to the unit. In second edition, you had to take a morale check without any eventual pin markers the unit had on itself. If you passed the morale check, you removed 1d6 plus 1 pins. Now, in third edition, since pinning will be much more prevalent, especially due to the change to the hit roll system that we already discussed plenty, since cover no longer makes it more difficult for you to hit the enemy, it is more likely that your units will get pinned. So what is the change? The change, it is then when a unit receives an order to rally, they just again take another test without taking pin markers in account. If they pass the test, they remove all the pins, so you do not anymore have to roll and hope for that result that managed to clear all the pins. You just remove all of them at the same time. This is one thing that sometimes happened in second edition. You had a unit, for example, who could have had like 5 or 6 pins. You went on to rally, and then of course you rolled a 1 and the unit was still useless, mostly useless. Now they basically solved that problem. Now you immediately the unit immediately gets back into fighting shape. Okay, it's a fine decision. I guess it's to give more importance to the order, and again it fits into the new approach of the game, so you have way more pins, and this is a way to counteract them. One news is that now they state that the new modified morale value can go as high as 11 and as low as 2. Now this may be a change from second edition. In second edition, order tests were always failed on a natural 11 or 12. If you rolled double sixes on an order test, it was a foobar. If you rolled an 11, it simply meant that the order was failed. Now, as they worded it, an 11 will still be a success, which might not seem a lot, but it's still, again, it's closely linked to how they reward officers, and we will discuss them in a second. But it means that a unit with an officer besides them is more reliable than it used to be. Okay, we already introduced the officers subject. Here we see two of my British officers. So, what did they change about officers? In second editions, you could have 4 different types of officers. You had junior officers, who could be second lieutenants or first lieutenants, and higher officers, senior officers, captains, and majors. Senior officers were hardly used, in my experience. They used to cost way too much money, too many points to fill them regularly. So most of the time, you went with second or first lieutenants. What changed? Second lieutenants had a +1 morale value bonus, a bubble of 6 inches that gave +1 to base morale. First lieutenants gave a +2, captains at a +3, and majors at a +4. What did they change in second edition? There will just be 2 kinds of officer. There will be a platoon commander, that effectively is what the old first lieutenant was doing. So it gives a +2 morale bonus. It gives 2 extra orders. In second edition, it was due to the human snap to action. We don't know if the mechanic will still be there or not, but it is likely. So 2 extra orders at 6 inches range. And the company commander basically is a mashup of a captain and a major, with the stat line of a major, that is a +4 morale bonus, 4 extra orders in a bubble of 12 inches. This is not all we know about officers, so we don't know if officers will get more special abilities, and we don't know if and how they changed point costs in third edition for officers. We already mentioned that in a previous episode of Talk Bolt Action. Many times in second edition, officers were seen only as basically a sort of tax you had to pay to fill the platoon, so you saw plenty of inexperienced lieutenants running around where possible to save on points. I hope they changed it somehow. It just wasn't particularly interesting to me to see these noobs running around leading armies, unless you were Italian most of the time, I guess. Now, in the article that discusses officer bonus, there is another pretty interesting piece of information to me, is that they changed one of their approaches to points, to the point system, and that is that they are moving away from the philosophy of giving armies free units. And this is great news, because it contributed to the imbalance of many armies, and I mostly think of English with the free artillery observer. That was 100 free points that could many times change uh, radically the result of a game. And I think of Russian free or the dice in the form of the inexperienced infantry section. They also removed the officer get free weapons upgrade. And I think this is a good decision. I really, really like it, because giving things for free is not a good game design philosophy, in my opinion. So when I read this, I was really, really happy. Then the last change they announced regards vehicles and morale. In second edition, when you had a vehicle and the vehicle failed its morale check due to pinning, it went into reverse mode if it hadn't moved already. So went back half of its movement allowance and then went down. Of course, vehicles still can't go down. It makes sense, I won't go any further into that. But now what they changed is the wording of the way vehicles act when they fail an order test. I'm just going to read that with you. It will soon be clear what is the big change. Now the wording is as follows. A pinned vehicle is treated somewhat differently to a pinned artillery or infantry unit. A pinned vehicle must still take another test to attempt an action, but if this is failed and if the vehicle has visible enemy to its front arc, it must make a reverse move, if able to do so, before going down. Note that this reverse move has to be straight backwards, with no pivot allowed. This represents the vehicle reversing away from danger and then coming to a halt. If unable to move because it's immobilized, it just goes down. If there are no visible enemies to its front arc, then the vehicle goes down where it is. If a vehicle is unable to comply because there are models or impassable terrain blocking its path, it can and indeed must maneuver to try to reverse, going around the intervening impassable terrain or models by the shortest available route. If a reversing vehicle reaches the table edge, then it retreats off the battlefield and is treated as destroyed. Alright, this is important. I think they did well in wording out the thing better. My friend Alessandro will be delighted by reading this, because he was always convinced that also in second edition vehicles were able to retreat off the battlefield if they failed another test. It wasn't the case. It will be in third edition. So just know that if you like to keep your support vehicles very, very close to the board edge, you are at risk of losing them due to a failed morale check. It's nice the fact that they will maneuver around impassable terrains and other models. So on overall, not a huge game-changing change. Pardon the pun, but quite fine. I'm quite fine with it. All right. So this was all the news we got from this week. As we said in the beginning, we finally are up to date, so to say, with the latest world release. So we will have to wait a whole week before getting more news. Until that time, I hope you are enjoying your holidays. If you are still working, I feel for you. Hold on, keep strong. As usual, if you like these videos, please give a like, comment if you want, consider subscribing if you like what I'm trying to do. In the following days, I plan on bringing something different to, for one of the next episodes of Toolbox Action, where we will have some of my friends in Friuli War Games, my local gaming group. They will be online with me, and we will talk about an event that we as a gaming group are organizing in our game store for this November. The event will be called the Bolt Action Experience: The Battle for Stalingrad. Until that time, be safe, peace out, and as usual, ciao ciao.